Last night, the Denver Nuggets lost 122 to 113 to the Washington Wizards. And this loss was a very tough loss for the Nuggets because even though it was on the road, the Wizards have to be by far the worst team in the league. They're in actually last place, not only in the Eastern Conference, but in the league overall. They have the worst record. They are 3-18. This is a very bad team. Granted, the Nuggets did not play Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray, so it definitely hurt the Nuggets when it came to depth in that game. They were shorthanded, but at the same time, you would think that just with Jokic alone, that this team could beat the worst team in the league, but they were not able to do that. They fell way short of doing that. Despite Jokic having a career high of like 56 points, it wasn't good enough to put them on top of this game to win this game. And Jokic said something interesting after the game. Just want to read the quote. A reaction in my country where I'm coming from after this kind of stretch, you're going to get a paycheck that is a little bit less than your worth. So maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe a little motivation that way. Obviously, Jokic was just saying this out of frustration. That's very evident by what he said. I heard he had a little bit of a sarcastic laugh when he said what he said. And the NBA can't do that, to be honest. But just going back to him saying this shows to me that Jokic is very frustrated. He's extremely frustrated with the situation in Denver. Do I ever expect him to force a trade or to get out of there? No, it's not his personality. Jokic strikes me as this loyal guy. And most of these Euro players tend to not really want to leave wherever they're playing. They have kind of like a laissez-faire attitude when it comes to their situation. Like wherever they play, they're just happy to be there. I think it's kind of like that immigrant mentality that you're just happy to be in America. Granted, that's becoming more and more rare these days. But anyways, that's why I don't think he's going to try to force his way out. However, I do sense this frustration that he's starting to get very frustrated, just how Denver does not have a complete team. You look at the roster, and outside of Jokic, they have like only 3 legit NBA players, I feel. You have Jamal Murray. Well, I'm going to be fair. They have about 4 or 5 legit NBA players. And I'm rounding up when I say 5. So you have Jamal Murray, you have Michael Porter Jr., you have Aaron Gordon, you have Christian Braun, and then you have Westbrook. And Westbrook is he's like this weird player in the sense that the phrase I'm gonna say the phrase that defines him is Westbrook give it and Westbrook take it away. Like for every good thing he does, he'll do a stupid thing that erases the good thing he does. So it's kind of like at times he can be a net negative, just depending on what you get. So that's what I'll add about Westbrook. But this team really only has like 4 or 5 legit NBA players outside of Jokic. So it's a very weak team. Their bench is complete garbage. It's like they have a bunch of G Leaguers. So think about it. If we're being generous, when you include Jokic, this is a team that has like 6 legit NBA players. And on a basketball team, you have a roster of 12. That means the 6 others are complete trash. So they have 6 guys who are just straight up garbage. And that hurts because you have to overplay the starters. And then you'll have to rely on Westbrook heavily off the bench since they don't have a bench. It's pretty much Westbrook and a bunch of garbage and trash. So that puts them in just a horrible position. Denver's front office has failed Jokic, I would say, by not keeping this team deep enough that they can be a contender. You have to add a few more guys. They're a few more players away from being a contender again in my eyes. Like losing KCP was really on them. That was their fault. Like they lost a very key player in their runs the last few years. Granted, they only won a championship once with him, but they were an elite team the last few years with KCP. Getting rid of him, that was stupid, and not even trying to replace him. They didn't have a legit replacement other than just putting Christian Braun in the starting lineup. And Braun is a solid player, but I just don't view him as a legit NBA starter. He's better off the bench. So that really hurt them depth-wise. And then just after they won that first title, losing Bruce Brown and Jeff Green and just not replacing them. So in the last 2 years, they've lost 3 legit solid NBA players. and they didn't replace them, so they weakened themselves, and they're just worse off now than they were just like a few years back. And yeah, you're going to see more frustration from Jokic throughout the season because the Nuggets are going to lose more games, I feel, due to not having enough depth. You're going to see monstrous games where he's putting up like God numbers and they still lose. I expect to see him just get more frustrated. He may not vocally say it like he did in this game, but you'll see the visible frustration on the court, just the way he reacts, his body language and everything. I think this is probably driving Jokic nuts that just he has to play just on God mode just about every game for the Nuggets to have a chance to win. So they have regressed tremendously, and the Nuggets front office really should be held accountable for this. Like they haven't been called out enough. Obviously, they're a small media market, so national media is not going to call them out, but they should be more an effort to call them out because they should. They're very complacent and they're just doing nothing, which is unacceptable because when you have a player like Jokic's prime, you got to do everything possible to maximize his chances of winning. Like you can't rest on your laurels, and they've been doing that the last few years ever since the summer 2023. They've just been lazy and they haven't done nothing to improve the team. And that's really the issue here. Just the Nuggets have to really, really try harder. And if they're not going to try hard to put a team around him, they should at least be honest to him. Just that they're not going to improve the depth. Just I don't see anything. I don't see no vision. It's just a bad look for the Denver Nuggets. That's all I have to say.